Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. As a therapist, when I was in my counseling practice, one of the primary goals that I would have with the people sitting in front of me is I would try to help them see some of the things that are beneath the surface that drive individuals to be what they are. One of the things that we know about narcissists is that you're going to see lots of anger when you're dealing with them. They can come toward you with a whole lot of rage sometimes, or lots of blame and irritability and agitation. They can argue with a tree stump, and they're not bashful about letting you know, I'm displeased by you, and you're just not measuring up. And then they can come on with a full force of anger and contempt and disdain, etc. It's so important for you to see that's what we see on the surface. It's the tip of the iceberg, but beneath the surface are multiple emotions that are pushing that along. The anger is secondary to some other unresolved issues. Now today I want to point out 3 of the most common emotional struggles that narcissists have, and I can promise you they're not going to see any of these 3. And as I point them out to you, I hope you can think, you know what, now that I see it, it's plain as day, and it's going to help you understand how you can respond to their dysfunction. Now, the 3 emotions that I'm referring to that are kind of surprising that are on the inside of the narcissist pushing that anger along are the emotions of loneliness, shock, and neediness. Okay, now I'm going to break those down, and again, it's like, I don't know that I would have thought of those 3. Let's take a look at it, and I think that as we go into this, it's going to become more and more clear. Now, loneliness, let's start with that one, tends to be the emotion of isolation that's associated with isolation. The struggle with loneliness is set up by the need to have connection with other individuals. And so when narcissists come toward you with their anger and their blustery attitude or their shunning of you, what they're saying is, well, I wanted to connect with you and it's just not happening. You don't understand me, do you? And that's very much a statement that lonely people make. Or I just can't get through to you. And so what they do is they turn up the intensity of whatever message they're trying to get, but they're wanting to create a sense of connection. And then they may be struggling with a thought on the inside that says, you know, we have a gap between you and me, but ultimately that gap feels more like a gulf. And they have such a wide feeling that says, you and I are not on the same page. I don't know what to do with it. That's their loneliness. That's their feeling of estrangement from you. And taking this notion a little bit further, this is set up by a narcissist's long-standing struggles with the fear of abandonment. Somewhere deep in their past, they realize that if they say certain things or if they act a certain way, key people in their life are going to run from them, or they're going to get mad, and there's going to be a strong disconnect. And so in their minds, they're thinking, oh no, I don't feel like I belong. I wish that I could belong. And apparently that's not going to happen right now. And then that sets up the anger and the agitation. But make no mistake, it's pushed along by that sense of loneliness, that isolation, that lack of connection that's there. Now, this leads directly into the second primary emotion that I'm mentioning, and that's the emotion of shock. When narcissists become overtly angry and agitated and annoyance, they're basically displaying panic. They're displaying their anxiety and a sense of disbelief toward you. In their anger, now they won't say this out loud, but in their anger, they're implying, I'm shocked. I can't believe that you and I are not on the same page. And then taking it a little bit further, they go into their sense of expectation. This is not at all what I expected from you. I expected your deference or your compliance or your willingness to go along with me. I'm struggling for explanations. Are you rejecting me? Really? Seriously? And as a result, in their sense of shock toward you, they struggle greatly to come to terms with the truth about whatever is going on in front. They just can't deal with the fact that you don't always think the same as them or have the same priorities or preferences or opinions. Now, this attitude or this emotional reaction of shock is set up by their narcissistic attitude of entitlement. In the narcissist's mind, they're thinking there are certain things that you owe me, and you need to comply to what I have to say. Got it? Because they want to have that special treatment, and then in the absence of that, the shock kicks in, and then it shows up as anger when in fact they're struggling on the inside with that emotional response. They're probably not even in touch with. And then that third emotion that drives them is the emotion of neediness. We already have that element of loneliness, the disconnect, and then the shock about it. But then beneath all of that is this craving for affirmation. Narcissists have now. By the way, let's keep in mind that narcissists try to pretend like they're self-sufficient and they've got it all together when in fact no, they don't. They struggle greatly with psychological emptiness. On the inside, it's like, well, I don't know if my life is going to ever have any sense of meaning. Again, most of them aren't deep enough to think like that. And their needs and their cravings can be controlled or it can be normal, but the cravings that they have wind up going way off the chart. And then their neediness comes out as demands, which is part of the anger. The intensity of their anger, their contempt, their arguing lie in direct proportion of their hunger for approval. And these people are basically in their anger saying, please, please give me some affirmation. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm a somebody. Tell me I make sense. And they're desperately needy for your reinforcement. So we have those three emotional reactions: loneliness, shock, and neediness. And all the narcissists will do when you say something like that is, first of all, I've actually had point blank people say in my counseling office, "Now, Doc, you missed on that one." And I'm thinking, no, I didn't. You're just not seeing it because it's as plain as day once you see it. Now, they'll fume and they'll argue and they'll blame. But your task is to see these kinds of emotions that push it along. Your insight can keep you from being entangled with them in their non-insightful approach. And I'm hopefully, as you're able to do that, then you're not going to get stuck with all of the gaslighting and the blame and the arguing that goes along with their lack of insight. In their dysregulated state, as they're unable to come to terms with their loneliness, their shock, their neediness, narcissists are revealing certain key thoughts about what's really going on inside of them. Basically, they're implying, I'm fixated in my own psychological childish responses. They've never grown beyond pre-adolescent thinking, and their emotions reflect a very immature person who hasn't figured out how to be competent in their own emotional expressions. They're also revealing, my coping skills are incredibly weak. In addition, they're also revealing, well, I was counting on you to prop up my fragile ego. What did you do? Why didn't that happen? And then they're also implying, and again, this is something they would never say, but the implication is, well, looking inwardly towards myself is a foreign concept. I don't do that. I look outwardly. It's on you. In addition, they reveal, I don't want to take responsibility for my many miscalculations. I want you to be responsible for me. They're also implying, I have no particular internal peace. I've never developed internal peace. I don't have a clue what internal peace looks like, except for you deferring to me, and then I guess that's it, although it's never going to last. They don't have any sense of contentment. In addition, they reveal, I'm a reactor. I take my cues emotionally from whoever's there in front of me. Now, they don't like to think of themselves as being highly codependent, but that's basically what we're talking about. In addition, with their unresolved loneliness and shock and neediness, they're implying, I'm very broken. I need you to fix me, which is why they put so much pressure onto you. And then they also reveal, if I have to threaten you to coordinate with me, I'm that desperate. I'm willing to do that. And their anger is their way of trying to say, please be what I tell you to be, because I don't have the internal strength to be what I need to be without it. And then in addition, they're implying when or if I ever feel satisfied, I can't sustain it. I don't have the skills to do that. So here on Team Healthy, as we acknowledge these struggles that they have, and we can see that there's the surprising trio of emotions of loneliness and shock and neediness, we can think, Mr. or Mrs. Narcissist, I'm sorry you're struggling. But until you take the lead in coming to terms with your own beneath the surface issues, I'm very limited in my ability to help you. Now, in the meantime, the narcissist is going to keep going back to their anger and their agitation and their irritability and blame and all of that. But I'm hoping you can see, again, that's the tip of the iceberg. There's much going on beneath the surface. And as long as they keep throwing that blame and shame and coercion on you, consider the source, understand that you're dealing with someone who is not at all insightful, and then move on and make your separate plans away from them. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good food for thought. And like I say, I hope that it can give you some insight about some of the beneath the surface issues that they don't necessarily see. A lot of people don't necessarily see this. As you would like, please hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep more videos coming towards you. I hope that this is going to be a part of your therapeutic efforts to become the best version of yourself. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you. Now, I know that many of you, when you're dealing with something like this, would say, I could use some therapy. I could use some help. I want somebody to help me break this down. I've been sponsored for years by the people at betterhelp.com. There's a link below the video here that will take you to their website. You go through and answer a few questions, and then you get to select a therapist that can work with you. And I'm hoping that person can say, let's sit down, let's talk about it and figure out what you're dealing with so that we can get to your best version of yourself. Please, as the need is there, get that help. Now, in addition, in my retirement from my counseling practice, I have put together some courses. I pulled together my 40 plus years of experience in the counseling office, and we have classes that are online. You can share them with anybody. You can work it at your own pace. And each class has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about having healthy connection skills, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers in your life. We have anger games, staying out of their traps there, as well as this is me about establishing healthy boundaries. Now, in addition, on my website, we also have my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations, PowerPoints, and they're very different and very popular. In addition to that, we also have my articles, my podcasts, and my books. So we have lots of resources. Now, what you're going to see from the narcissist is the surface issue of anger and agitation and irritability and annoyance and being in a bad mood and all the rest. But I hope that you can see, there's a lot of unresolved issues that they don't even see. And surprisingly so, they don't understand the loneliness and the shock and the neediness is there. But once you see it, I'm hoping it can prompt you to have more of a sense of objectivity, which then allows you to become more steady in your reaction to them. And then hopefully it'll take you further and further down in your path and your efforts towards you finding that internal peace that they don't have. I hope you can find your peace.